In this video, I'm going to break down how I help six-figure families and entrepreneurs get out of debt for good. If you're new to my channel, I not only help six-figure families and entrepreneurs get out of debt, but I help them break the paycheck to paycheck cycle with behavioral psychology and automation, showing them how to set up a system that can handle their money optimally. If that sounds interesting to you, I'd invite you to like and subscribe to this channel. I'm always creating videos on how to help you optimally manage your money with behavioral psychology and automation. Now, this video is definitely for you if you have struggled to get out of debt. If maybe you've racked up some credit card debt, maybe you paid some off, maybe you've racked it back up, this video is absolutely for you. And we're going to start by talking about some of the ways that people traditionally get out of debt or try to get out of debt and maybe spin their wheels along the way. And we're going to talk about the solutions to help you get out of debt in an easier way that's much more sustainable. But we're going to also talk about some of the pitfalls along the way so that you don't get stuck as you're trying to perhaps implement this new way of doing things. So most financial advisors, most financial coaches or media personalities will talk about getting out of debt, and they'll always say step one is to create a budget. And there's some reasons why that is flawed. When we are creating a budget, we are basically looking at our money in a vacuum. We're not considering really behavior. We're just looking at numbers on a sheet of paper, numbers on a screen, and that can be one method that we use, though it's not optimal for most people. Because the problem with budgeting in general is that you have to do it every time you get paid for the rest of your life, typically. It's a little easier if you're salaried and you just, maybe you make $100,000 a year and you get the same amount of paycheck every time. Maybe it's a little easier then, but especially for those that are commission employees or have bonuses or variable income, maybe you're an entrepreneur, it becomes very, very, very difficult to manage money in this way. So what we want to think about is some of the pitfalls of a new way to get out of debt. So when I think about the word consolidation, that might have some negative connotations for some of you watching. You might be thinking credit repair. You might be thinking some like random sleazy ads or something like that, or some like call center vibe where people are going to tell you to stop paying your credit cards. There are reputable credit repair companies, number one, period. I know some people would disagree with that. I've had multiple clients kind of go down the road of the debt relief where you end up essentially partnering with a firm. Oftentimes it could be some attorneys that are going to buy your current debt for pennies on the dollar, and then you will pay them directly. Not the most optimal way to do it. Certainly not what I'm advocating for anybody watching this. It is oftentimes a last resort for a lot of people. So again, I don't lead with that. But there are other ways of things that are called debt consolidation that aren't that. And they are a lot less intense, a lot less of a last resort, and can be a great way to go. But one of the challenges when we think of debt consolidation, so let me be a little more clear with what I'm saying, is you've got some credit card debt and maybe you want to get a personal loan, maybe you want to look at a home equity line of credit or something like that as a way to take your debt that's at 30% and maybe pay a lower interest rate. There are great ways to do that. But the challenge is for most people that you have not solved the underlying issue that got you into debt in the first place. I love to say that debt is a symptom of a broken system. That broken system has two components, okay? Number one is a lack of boundaries around spending. And then number two is lack of savings. And we need to solve for both of those things to sustainably get out of debt and stay out of debt. And we'll talk about that in this video. So stick around. So before we go into the solution, I do want to bring up a couple other things that I don't think are optimal when getting out of debt. One is the 0% interest rate credit card. Oftentimes that can feel like a great solution, and it can be a great temporary solution and maybe a part of a solution long-term. But I think the challenge is, again, if we can agree on the two things that we need to fix, lack of savings and lack of boundaries around spending, which we'll talk about more in a minute, then that can be a possibility. But oftentimes people will come to me and they're on this kind of 0% credit card roller coaster where, they consolidate some money over to one credit card. They don't really make a ton of progress. 0% offer runs out. They end up going to find another credit card to solve that problem. So we want to be careful because it can be a very slippery slope that people find themselves on. So the reality is, again, there's no limit on your spending in that example, right? There's nothing stopping you from you're actually rewarding yourself for getting into debt in a way, because you were paying whatever, call it, I don't know, $500, $1,000 a month on credit card, and now you're paying a lot less than that. And you're like, well, great, I just saved all this money. And so it can be very tempting just to not do anything because you've kind of temporarily solved the problem. So we want to find more of a fixed solution long term. So let's look at a couple of different solutions here. Let's talk about the process of implementing a better strategy moving forward. Okay, so this is actually step one of the process that I take all of my clients through. We're going to go very quickly through some of these preliminary steps. But again, debt is a symptom of a broken system. So the first step is really to remedy the beginning of the system. Okay, we can't just jump in and say, hey, let's go consolidate a bunch of debt, because what happens very often for people is that they get a personal loan. They take a loan from their 401k. Maybe they pull a home equity line of credit. They consolidate some debt. The problem has not been solved. The underlying root cause has not been solved. And guess what? They're going to get right back into debt. So what we want to do instead is step one, we have to have boundaries on our spending. So I've got some other videos. You can take a deeper dive on this. But ultimately, I help clients create a set of spending accounts so that they have money and a cutoff. They have a healthy boundary around their spending. And that might sound like, I don't know, too good to be true perhaps for some people. But ultimately, just by having a separate institution from where you pay all of your bills and you send money there for the purpose only to be spent, and make sure that it's enough money so that you're not trying to like create some deprivation environment where you will fall off the wagon. Because again, the problem that comes with things like the debt snowball, for example, is that it requires a lot of motivation, and motivation does not last, unfortunately, especially when you look at doing it over an extended period of time. People can be paying off debt for years, and they go on this roller coaster where they're relying on their motivation to pay off debt, and then something happens. If they don't have enough savings, a flat tire perhaps, or whatever happens, and maybe a vacation, a death in the family. There's so many things in life that can happen and kind of knock us off track. So we want to create a sustainable amount of spending money that gets refilled each and every week as step one. Now that we have that under wraps, we want to look at step two, which is evaluating bills for areas to shave. Again, this is not for lifestyle deprivation, but tell me if this sounds familiar. Maybe you're like looking up one day and like, how do I have 10 streaming services? Maybe you joined a gym in January and haven't been back since. No shame in the game, but we can, cancel some of these subscriptions, some of these bills, tighten down some things a little bit with the goal of it not negatively impacting your lifestyle, if at all possible. And then here's the magic. We want to take those dollars we've saved and put them up into a savings account that's outside of our normal checking account. We have to get it outside of that account, because even the 2-day transfer to a savings account to get that money back is going to usually keep us from getting our hand in the cookie jar, if that makes sense. We need these behavioral buffers, is what I like to call them, in place to kind of save us from ourselves, because it's very, very easy. I mentioned this in a recent video that 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 saved, because in my opinion, most people have a checking account and a savings account at the same bank. There's like this invisible barrier between checking and savings called the instant transfer. You instantly transfer money back to yourself, and it's very, very difficult to accumulate any savings. It's like going on a diet and having a pantry full of snacks and cookies and Oreos and wondering why you can't lose any weight, right? Because it's so easy to be tempted. So similarly, we need to set up some boundaries for our spending, as I mentioned in step one. And then in step two, when we do save some money, we have to actually get it out of that checking account. We have to suck those dollars up. If you just saved $50 a month, $100 a month, now you need to take that savings and put it away in a savings account that's out of your normal operating account. Now, with clients, I help them automate all bills. So the joke is, Netflix doesn't take a check. Most of our bills are coming out auto draft, oftentimes subscriptions, etc. And so there are things that we can do to just automate the rest. That's not really the goal of this video, but I just wanted to use that as a footnote. Now we look at consolidating debt. Once we have established a healthy limit on spending, we've started to build some savings and begin to get that out of our day-to-day financial system. Now we look at really 3 different tools. We can look at retirement accounts. There are pros and cons to all of these things, right? I'm not going to go super in depth in this video, but there are pros and cons of retirement accounts. One of the cons is if you take money to borrow from a retirement account and you get let go or you leave that employer before that money is paid back, you can get a tax hit on that. Okay, I'm not going to go into all the tax details right now. I'm not going to go into all the pros and cons of each of these solutions. This is a very high level overview in this video. Let me know if you want a more detailed video. Let me know in the comments below. If you want me to create something a little more long form, happy to do that. But in this video, we're going to talk about the three methods, right? So most people may or may not be aware that if you have a 401k, 403b, thrift savings plan, or something similar, maybe even a 457, you can typically borrow up to half of that balance. If you have $100,000 in your 401k, you can typically borrow from that up to 50%. Each plan, each 401k provider plan is going to have slightly different limits and so forth in their plan document. They might allow, 50% up to, 75,000 as an example. So look at your plan document, but you can typically borrow up to half of that on a 5-year note. So it's going to be a fixed amount that you pay back, and the rates are generally going to be pretty good. In this environment, as of 2024, could be 7, 8, 9, 10 would be my guess. Each plan is going to be different, so check your plan accordingly. And what they'll do is they'll take that money and just lower what you get in your paycheck. So the loan will pay itself back without you having to think about it or lift a finger, which can be very advantageous. More than that is that you're going to be paying less interest than you would on a 30% credit card, hypothetically. So that can be a great, especially if you find yourself with challenged credit. If your credit is, say, below 600, then that could be an option for you. Again, there are pitfalls to consider, so please consider those before just jumping into a solution like that. The other one is typically like a personal loan. So there are a lot of vendors now in the personal loan space that not only you'll have a soft credit check instead of a hard pull, so you don't have to have a fear of like, hey, I'm going to go, lose, 5 points on my credit and get denied. You can just do a soft pull. So there are a lot of vendors, I'm just going to throw out a handful. SoFi, Prosper, and Lending Club. SoFi does a lot of loans. They started out in the kind of the student loan space and have expanded their product offering. And then you've got Lending Club and Prosper, which are peer-to-peer lending solutions. When they first started, I think the rates were a lot more attractive. They're doing okay. They can be a decent solution depending on what your needs are. And that can be a way, again, you might pay 15%. You could pay higher than that. But the biggest thing we want to look for is cash flow. We want to be freeing up cash flow by making this transaction. So we can say, if we were paying, again, 30% on credit cards, we might be able to save some interest. Number one, don't get too worried if it's like, hey, that it's maybe 20%, 25%. If you're going to be saving hundreds of dollars of interest, that could be a great stepping stone because most of these loans don't have any early prepayment penalty. Meaning, if you just need to get a loan to get some money off your credit cards, that will boost your credit score in the next 30 days or so. And then maybe you can try another solution and kind of have this kind of stair-step factor, implying multiple solutions over the coming months and kind of work your way down to a better loan over time. That is a way to consider if you need to. The last one I'm going to talk about is a home equity line of credit. The challenge is oftentimes these things take a while to apply for, traditionally like 4 to 6 weeks. There are newer products coming online that I'm working through right now with some clients. I'd be happy to do a breakdown of some of those in the future, but ultimately there are some, typically 80 to 90% loan to value is what you're going to look at. So here's a quick example. If your home would sell today for $500,000 and you've got $200,000 left on your mortgage, that is $300,000 of equity. The challenge is you can't borrow all of that $300,000 in most loans. There are some that go all the way up to 100% loan to value. Most go 80 to 90%. So you would say, hey, I've got 300,000 of equity times 0.8 or times 0.9, depending on the product, will get you that number of 80 to 90% loan to value. So just know that. The great thing about a home equity line of credit, if you get approved for it, you don't have to take all of the equity available. You can just take whatever you need. And so oftentimes there's a great way, especially on an interest-only home equity line of credit, the payment is going to be very low. So we obviously have to be disciplined to make sure that we're doing more than just the bare minimum payment to make sure that we eventually pay this debt off. But the concept here is that you can consolidate some of your debt. You've already begun to build savings, and we want to take that freed up cash flow and not just pay off all the debt. We have to build savings. I help clients typically get a month ahead, and there's a lot more that I do in the rest of this plan that we're not going to get into the video today. Subscribe to the channel if that's intriguing to you, and we can talk about that in future videos. But ultimately, we want to free up the cash flow and ideally get a month ahead, and then we see how much cash flow we freed up. Maybe it's $1,000 a month. Now, how much of that $1,000 do we want to put towards debt pay down? It could be 30% of that, so $300 a month extra to debt pay down. And again, the beautiful thing of these, a lot of these solutions that we just discussed is they're going to have a fixed payment schedule. So if you do nothing, you'll get out of this debt in like a 5-year period on a personal loan, as an example. So we want to find the right mix. Everyone's situation is a little different. So just in creating this video, I want to show you what's possible, things that maybe you haven't considered before. But if you want specialized help, drop a comment, Follow me on Instagram at Rogue Finance. Shoot me a message there on Instagram, and we can talk about a solution that might make sense for you to help you finally kick the debt to the curb, get out of debt, automate your finances, and go live your best life.